Artículo Periodístico. In this lesson, we're going to look at the format and the content of writing a news article. When it comes to writing a news article, two things we're going to have very little of are thoughts and feelings. We're going to focus instead on written sources and oral testimonies. Unlike a blog, a diary, or a letter, a news article is going to focus much less on thoughts and feelings and much more on written sources and oral testimonies for the communicative purpose of establishing the accuracy of an event. What really happened in a certain place at a certain time with certain people involved. The format of a news article begins with the URL of the newspaper, then the name of the newspaper, and then the date. The date is really important. You want to know when this was written. How recent is this information? Is this old news or is this something just fresh and new that I might need to educate myself about? The name of the newspaper also communicates something. In many countries, each newspaper will signify the political ideology from which it's written. So there might be a really left-wing newspaper, a centrist newspaper, or a really right-wing newspaper, and people begin to know what is the bias of the newspaper. So we know that all writers are going to have bias, but no matter who is writing, and no matter what the bias of the writer, the reader still is going to demand accuracy in the reporting. We want to make sure that the written sources and the oral testimonies are accurate to what actually happened. That's what we're trying to figure out. What is reality? What's going on here? The title of the newspaper, the name of the writer, and the place where it's written all come next. The place may be important if, especially, the events are in one country and the writer is in another country. That writer might be farther removed from the actions and the events in the story, so we may not trust that person as much, whereas if the location is at the place of the events, that may have more legitimacy as far as a source. So the place is important. So the date and the place and the writer themselves are all important. Other elements of formatting include short phrases, short paragraphs, and the inverted triangle. This is not going to be like an essay where you can have really long sentences or a blog or any other kind of writing. This is going to be short, snappy, one piece of information per line, and get in and get out and tell the story. As far as the inverted triangle goes, this is what we mean by that. The lead is going to be the most important piece of information. So on the top, you're going to have the most important information that the reader is going to need to know. The middle is going to flesh out some more details that are important to the story and that the reader are going to be expecting the writer to fill in. And toward the end of the article is what they call the tail. That's any extra information that is not essential to the story, but someone who's read that far and still wants more information, well, that information is provided at the end. This format of writing a news article comes in very handy in a case where there might be limited space on the page for the writer to tell the story. The editor of the newspaper might say, hey, we need a 1,000-word news article about this event, but when it comes time to print, they might only be able to print 200 words, and the writer's already written 1,000. So the editor needs to be able to write a line right through the article and not miss any of the key information and say, this part of the story is not going to make it into the newspaper, so that's got to be cut. But because the main part of the story is told already right up here at the beginning, then the reader is not going to miss any of the key information. It's called the inverted triangle. Let's look then at adding a URL to our periódico. www.eluniversal.com.mx. El Universal is a franchise that has newspapers in many Latin American countries. So if you're going to write a news article, El Universal might be a good name for that newspaper. El Diario is another one. There are many. El 1 de enero 1994 might be the date. Levantamiento en Chiapas, an uprising in Chiapas, the title of the news article itself, written by Enrique Cruz, en Selva La Candona in Mexico. So you now already have a pretty good idea of the where and the when of the story. The story is probably going to take place in Mexico on the 1st of January, 1994. Today, an armed uprising of indigenous Maya began in the state of Chiapas. The rebels are called Los Zapatistas. Already we've told pretty much the whole story. We could stop there. That's a pretty good start. But we're going to be doing short phrases and short paragraphs. The armed forces attacked 7 government buildings. According to witnesses, no one was injured during the attacks. A communique of the Zapatistas declares war against the government. So already we're starting to see a lot of information being presented here. We know when, today, on the 1st of January 1994. Where? In Chiapas. What happened? There was an armed uprising of indigenous Maya. This is who. So already we know when, where, what, and who. All in the very first sentence. The entire story is already told in the first sentence. But already, if you want to know more information, who were these indigenous Maya exactly? Well, they're a group of them that formed and called themselves Los Zapatistas. Where did they attack? So it says that there was an armed attack. Well, they attacked government buildings. How many people were hurt? That's going to be a natural question that a reader's going to ask, and you're going to want to answer that. Why did they attack, and who did they attack? We have a little bit of information shared here. They attacked the government because there's a war against them. We still don't know why, but these questions should be answered in the next paragraph. Where are we getting this information? Well, we have witnesses, we have testigos, and we have a written communique directly from the people who gave the attack, who started the attack. So we know how we got the information, who is attacking who, how many people were injured. We still have lots of questions left. Who are these people exactly? How long have they been in existence? Is this going to be an ongoing thing? What needs to happen? What are the demands? Why are they doing this? Why is there a war against the government? So we still don't know, but even if we don't know that information, we have enough to be like, wow, something big just happened in Chiapas today, and we pretty much know who and why. When you're writing a news article, you're going to want to put it in columns like this. So the sentences will be short, and you'll do it in columns just like if you were reading a news article. And we're going to continue to get more information, right? The complete name of the Zapatistas is EZLN. They formed in 1986. They want social justice on the part of the Maya down in Chiapas. So now we'll know a little bit more. The organization's been around for 8 years now. So this isn't something new. The leader of the Zapatistas is called Comandante Marcos. He's mad about the Treaty of NAFTA, and NAFTA kicks in today, and so he thinks that this NAFTA is going to impoverish even more the people in Chiapas. So we flesh out more and more details as we go that are not essential to the story, but a reader who's interested in the story is going to continue to read. And as we see, this is an inverted triangle, so all of the information pretty much for the whole story is in that very first sentence. And by the time you get down to the bottom, now it's still interesting information, but not crucial to the reader right off the bat. This is going to be the format and the content of writing a news article, un artículo periodístico. When AP or International Baccalaureate asks you to write this format of text, they're expecting you to include in this news article information from the sources they've already given you. So you're going to read some information, and then you're going to share and prove and show that you know the information, that you can write your Spanish very well, and you know how to format this, and you know that this is going to be not about your thoughts and feelings of the events, but the events themselves. How accurate are you going to be able to write based on the sources that have been given to you? So again, it's a really great way to practice your Spanish, your understanding of how to communicate in different styles of writing, while showing your mastery of content. Good luck, have fun with these, and I look forward to reading your news articles en español. Artículos periodísticos.